Yo, good day, gents, and welcome to another episode of Father's Fire. My name's Jody Cedric, and every week we get together to explore the joys, the challenges, the triumphs, the sorrows, and yes, the fun of being a dad. And I tell you, every week I love these conversations. I look forward to them. I ponder conversations that I've had with other men, things that I'm reading, things that I've watched, and it's just fun to really explore and ponder and think about how I can be a better man, how I can help you guys be a better man, a better father. And, it's all about a journey of learning, of exploring, and becoming. And I do have to give you guys an apology because I did miss you last week, but I had a good reason. Judy and I escaped for our anniversary, went down to Laredo, Mexico. Just had a fantastic time together. It was a little cooler than I would have liked. But man, we got to walk along the beach. We ate great food. We, just stayed up late and visited together, and we just had a fantastic time. And then on Saturday, we flew into LA, spent a little time with my son. That was fantastic. It was raining like cats and dogs and cold, so we didn't get to go out and enjoy the warm LA that's normally happening. But you guys see the weather. I mean, it is crazy cold and snowy and wet and rainy and SoCal. And so, but we had a great afternoon together and got to be able to go do dinner with my son. It just was fantastic. And then on Sunday, Sunday, I was able to meet Rod and my partner to go to the Peterson Automotive. Damn, what is wrong with me? Yo, good day, gents, and welcome to another episode of Father's Fire. My name's Jody Cedric, and every week we get together to explore the joys, the challenges, the triumphs, the sorrows, and yes, the fun of being a dad. And man, guys, I really look forward to the opportunity to meet with you guys, to share thoughts that I've been pondering through the week from either conversations that I've had with other men, books that I'm reading, or great TV shows or documentaries that I've watched, and just trying to find things that will help us all be better men, be better husbands. And I do want to give you guys an apology because I missed you last week. I think this was the first time in the last 3 years that I've ever missed an episode on a Monday. But Judy and I escaped for a little anniversary getaway, went down to Laredo, Mexico, a little town I'd never heard about. But we flew in and it was a little cooler than I was hoping it would be. But man, we had a fantastic time. We walked along the beach, the marina, ate incredible food, especially the guacamole and chips, and stayed up late, visited. I mean, we just had a fantastic time. And then on Saturday, we flew into LA, had dinner with my son and his partner, Matt, and just had it was freaking rainy and cold, so it wasn't nice. But you guys have heard the weather on the news. I mean, it is just insane in SoCal right now, in Northern Cal. I mean, with all the snow and the rain that they've been getting. But we had a great time. And then Sunday, I met my partner Rod at the Peterson Automotive Museum for the Sonex New Generation Detailing and Flex Ferrari Preservation Project. That's right. On Sunday, we were at the Peterson Auto Museum, and there were over 300 Ferraris. And the New Generation Detailing team was able to come together, and they were preserving and detailing the Henry Ford Ferrari, a priceless car. It's never been sold at auction. It has no value on it other than priceless. And then we also got to work on the Magnum PI Ferrari. Yes, the actual one from the TV series. And it was just an amazing day. We got to interview the director of the museum on our live podcast, as well as the COO. We had Bruce Myers there, as well as we got to interview the detailers. And it was just an amazing experience. And then on Monday, the adventure continued. We went down into the vault And if you guys are car guys, you would have been in heaven. We were working on Steve McQueen's convertible green Jaguar, worth $50 million. Also got to work on a beautiful Porsche and a 1935 Auburn replica, as well as a Ford GT Mark III. Just amazing. I mean, but what was really amazing, not only the cars and the experience of being there, was visiting with all of the men and visiting with Rigo and talking about their businesses and their journey of business, building their businesses. And Rigo and I got to step aside and talk about, some of the challenges that he's been going through. And most importantly, about his vision for creating a group of men that are centered around building an industry and building men so that they will not only be successful in business, but they will be successful in their homes and in their families. And he talked about, some of his struggles in his own life and how he struggled with depression and working through a divorce, and just trying to be open with these men to help them realize that, yeah, we're successful in this aspect of our life, but there are also the important aspects, our family, that maybe sometimes we're neglecting. And sometimes if we don't give them the proper attention, they can decay and dissolve, and our kids can be impacted. And one day we wake up and we're having really difficult discussions. And he's like, I want to be the man that is, creating an environment where we can have these kind of discussions and help each other. And this week also, and he and I had a fantastic discussion yesterday that I want to get back to, but I want to lay some groundwork for it. This week, I had the opportunity to watch the documentary Inmate Number One that talks about Danny Trejo. So if you like Machete and all of his other Dust to Dawn and all of his other 300 plus movies, you got to go watch this. It's on Tubi.tv, and they do an exceptional job of sharing his life. And he still lives where he grew up. And he shares how from a very young age, he was a troubled youth. He was attracted to the gang lifestyle. He looked up to his uncle, who always had a nice car and the cash. And so he started living the gangbanger lifestyle and, robbing convenience stores and, doing all of the thug things that were going on in the early 60s. And living that life, and which ultimately led him to him being incarcerated and going to San Quentin. He was also transferred during all of his time to all of the major prisons in California. So he's truly had an experience of not only the gangster lifestyle, but the prison lifestyle, and then coming out of that lifestyle and trying to break the chains and become, a drug counselor, an addiction counselor, and try to have an impact and make amends for the life that he led when he was younger, that caused a lot of pain and a lot of sorrow, and it impacted a lot of lives. And in the opening scenes of this movie, there's a lady on there, and she's sharing some thoughts about Danny, and her name's Marie. And she said this, and talking about Danny's life, she said, a lot of times you cannot make amends for that. You can't clean that up. I feel like Danny has paid his debt to society, but I don't think Danny feels like he has. And that made me think a lot about the men that I've talked to over the years. And, they look at their life and they've come to a point in their life where they're divorced, or they're separated from their kids, or they've struggled with addiction. They've struggled with a bad temper, with being dominating and overbearing, being even abusive. And they've worked through these challenges and have come to a place in their life where they do not want to be that person anymore. They they want to be a man of honor and integrity and of gentleness and kindness, a man that leads with love. And but it's challenging to break those chains of the past, especially when we judge ourselves out of the lens of the past. And those that we've hurt tend to judge us out of the lens of the past. And I was thinking about someone that is very close to me that, he struggled with a pornography addiction that eventually led to the demise and the destruction of his marriage. And, there became so much tension and so many unfulfilled promises, and that they eventually ended up separating. And I had a conversation. He since has been married to a beautiful lady, and his ex was absolutely beautiful, kind person as well. And I was having a conversation with her, and she said, why couldn't he have done that with and for me? Seeing the life that they've now created and going, man, I like who he's become. Why couldn't he have done that with me? And I said, it's interesting that you asked that question, because in the last 2 years of your marriage, he was becoming that person. But you were so filled with this disappointment and distrust, and understandably so, that it was hard for you to see and accept and embrace the man that he was coming in a way that would have enabled you guys to build out of it. And I understand. This is no shade on you. I understand that you were operating out of years of broken promises and broken heart. And so it was hard for you to rebuild. So I understand that. And I give you credit for doing what you did. But for whatever reason, you couldn't walk those last couple years with him and reap the benefit of who he's now become. And somebody else saw the transition, saw who he had become, and were willing to continue that journey. And they now have something beautiful. And I think that happens in a lot of relationships, is that we as men, for whatever reason, we have lived a life that has caused hurt, that the consequences of those decisions ripple across the lives of our children, of our wife, of our ex-wife, of our parents, of friends. And it's tough to build out of that, because a lot of times, not only do we judge ourselves out of the lens of yesterday, but those that were hurt by us still haven't healed from that. And so they're clinging on to who they saw you as before. And it's difficult for them to see who you've become. And that's a hard process. And I think that's an important thing. It's a process, right? Just because you go to somebody and you want to reconcile doesn't mean that they're ready to extend forgiveness and open their heart to you. They may be able to accept that you said sorry, but I think it's unrealistic to expect them to be at the same moment of healing and wanting to heal and wanting to reconnect. And you need to give them grace to work through that pain and sorrow till at some point in the future, hopefully you guys can reconcile and actually rebuild some kind of amiable relationship. But that takes time. It takes healing. It takes patience. It takes empathy, and it takes love. And this brings me back to my conversation that I had with Rigo this weekend, because I reached out to him and said, hey man, you really need to watch this documentary, Inmate #1, because it's really reminiscent of some of the conversations that you and I've had about your journey, about who you've become. And I love who Danny's become. And I just want you to know, I love who you've become. And I think that you will appreciate this journey. And so he sent me a couple pictures of him back when he was running gangs. And there he is with his boys. They're giving the gang signs. And he said, you can imagine what I was doing at that time in my life. And that's who I was. And then he sent me another picture, a picture from the Peterson Auto Museum where he's kneeling down next to the detail kid, Stephen Thompson, and he's helping this young kid fine tune his ability to detail these cars, really hone in and help him finesse these chrome wheels that he was working on. And to see his patience and his kindness and his gentleness as he was coaching with Steve, I was there. I was watching it. In fact, the picture that he sent was a picture of me taking a picture of him as he's coaching Steve and helping him take care of this multi-million dollar car. And then after he sent me the picture, he said, "This is who I am now." And I love that because it shows the transition of a life. It shows the evolution of a life. It shows the determination of a man to go, you know what, that's who I was. I'm not going to be that person anymore. I'm going to be this way. I'm going to be gentle and kind. I'm going to be a leader, not only of men, but also of young men. I'm going to show them a path that is better, that will give them happiness and joy, that will give them the tools to not only work in their business, but also work in their life. And I think that's important because who you are now is a culmination of who you were in the past. And it's a culmination of the decisions that you've made to transform your life, to become a better man, to become a better husband, to become a better father, to be a better friend. And that's what it's really about. I mean, I can look at who I was when Judy and I got married 34 years ago. In fact, I've often done it, and I've asked myself, do I like who I've become? Do I like who I am? And I'd like you to ask yourself that question. Do you like who you've become? Do you like who you are becoming? Do you like the direction you're going? And I imagine that all of us, there are things that we can improve on. But I bet you're doing a lot better than you think you are. If you really step back and you compare yourself to 10 years, 20 years ago, and go, do I like who I've become? Do I like the impact that I'm having on my family? Yeah, maybe the impact that I had on my family wasn't the best in the past, but you know what? I'm owning what I was in the past, and I'm doing everything I can to be a positive force and impact on my kids and my family within the realms that I'm allowed. And that's okay. If your circle of being able to have that impact is smaller than you want it to be, that's okay. Embrace the process of going, you know what, this is where I am. And as I become the man that I want to be, other people will see that, and it will allow new opportunities in that area of expansion. That area of influence will grow. So, guys, I strongly invite you to go watch that Inmate #1 on Tubi TV. I mean, you want a story of transformation, of wanting to have an impact, of embracing the process of becoming and going, you know what? I need to change my demeanor. I need to change the way that I talk to people. I need to change the way that I open my heart. I need to change the way that I'm giving. I need to change the way that I'm talking. so that I don't come across so condescending, but rather I become a man whose language is uplifting. It's hopeful. It's inspiring. My very being, I want to be the kind of people that lifts and motivates and inspires people to be better. And if they can use my story as a blueprint, let them embrace it. Let them take the pieces that fit and apply to their life, and let them implement them in a way that moves them forward so that they can create the blueprint that is right for them. So anyway, guys, just a few thoughts for you guys today. Do you like who you are? Do you like who you've become? And who are you still becoming? Because it's just a journey, right? And it's a journey that if we're willing to embrace and we're willing to talk about and we're willing to be the strength for other men, to be the sounding board, to be the accountability for somebody sometimes, to call them on their stuff. Because sometimes they want us to just give in, go, yeah, I see their side, instead of going, you know what? I appreciate their side, but you need to own some of this too, to be a good friend, to be a good accountability partner, to be a good brother as we walk forward and become the men, the husbands, the fathers that we aspire to be and that our families deserve. So thank you guys so much for joining me. If there's anything that you would like to add, please send me a DM, a comment. If you'd like to talk about something that you're struggling, I'm always here for you. And we will check you same time, same bat channel, just right here next week, right here on Father's Fire. See ya.